Alright, so for the actual chuck portion, I'm going to be using a piece of 4-inch PVC. Let's clean this up a little bit, but I want to make sure I have a couple pieces that are at least that size. So we'll just mark one. This is going to be about 5.5 inches. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to turn it on the lathe. But I would just want to rough cut this out on the bandsaw. Alright, so we'll take our first piece, and I'm going to use wood screws, even though this is going into MDF. It's less of a deal, plus we're going to silicone it on, so it should hold fairly well. Now this side is raised a little bit, so we'll mount it to this side. But before that, I want to make sure it gets a good seal with some silicone adhesive that would hold it nice and airtight. Should make a decent airtight seal through there. We are going to have to go through the middle so that air can actually get through it, but yeah, it's a good start. I will need to clean this up a little bit because I'm going to actually double back these together so that I can kind of trim them up. Alright, so it's going to get pretty noisy in here, but what I'm going to do is, following the same process that Carl Jacobson used, we'll mount it on the lathe, put some double back tape on it, and try to do the first piece with the double back tape. So it's going to get noisy in here because I want to have some dust collection going on. This stuff kicks off a lot of pretty nasty dust. So you're not going to be able to hear me talk on the video unless I do it afterwards. So now I'm going to turn a recess into this wood, so I want to get the measurements because I would like it to be a fairly tight seal between the PVC and the MDF. All right, let this set up for several hours. Make sure that the silicone is good and tight. Yeah, it's pretty good. And now we're going to turn this down, and we're going to try to make a nice rounded edge over here so that a bowl can fit over it, but also going to try to make a bit of a concave into the hole so that if you need to mount it facing outwards, you can. So for the outside, I was originally going to use one of these floor squares, but after reading up some comments, the thickness apparently gives it a lot of instability, and all we really need is a seal to keep the piece airtight on the chuck. So I found some fairly thin, this is maybe just shy of 1/8 of an inch foam board from Walmart. So we're going to cut that down and fit that in there. I do want a fairly good coat on this. Might be a little much. Alright, as it starts to get tacky, let's put this on here. Now I'm going to cut over in the middle. Because we're actually going to use the vacuum to try and hold it on. I'll come back to it with on the lathe once it's set up a little better. For the original problem of how do I clean up the back of this bowl. Well, putting back on the chuck, I'm using this little funny guy here. This is a Morse taper number 2 and 1 1/8 threading on it to thread your chuck onto your tailstock. So we'll do that now. So for starters, drop this in. Thread that on. And then we just mount this in the tailstock. And then slide the tailstock forward up to the vacuum chuck. Once it's in place, we can activate the vacuum system. So again, we'll start with the valve open. Come down here to the vacuum pump. Kick that on. With the valve open, the bladder pretty much shakes loose, but once we close it, it draws all the air through the headstock and holds on to the bladder. Next, we just loosen the chuck and then back the tailstock away, and there it'll hold. This platter is pretty large, so it has a lot of leverage. Pretty good tug on it will break it loose, but for the most part it's held on there pretty tight. And there we have it. A little finish on it. Glue my emblem in there. And that's done.